Hey guys, welcome back again to the Harmonics International Facebook group. Well, on the previous video, we had Mr. Robin that mentioned about the ohms of the speaker not being 8 ohms if it says it's 8 ohm nominally, or if it's a 4 ohm speaker, it's not actually a 4 ohm speaker, right? So today what I'm going to do, I have a little test bench set up to show you guys that, you know, it really is what we're saying it is, so you would understand. So here we have a speaker. The model of this speaker is the 18-sum 6NM B900. And as you can see, it's an 8 ohm speaker. Alright, so we're going to be doing a sweep so that you can see that it says the 8 ohms, but it's really not. So we need to check the DC resistance. So we're going to do a quick sweep on it. Now if you come now and you look at the result, you would see the RE is actually 5.5 for that speaker. Now if you do the maths and you divide 5.5, most likely if you have 8 of these speakers, you would actually be less than 1 ohm, right? So what you would find is that if you're going to be using a 1 ohm amplifier, which a lot of us use, if we have 8 ohm speakers, we're going to use a 1 ohm amplifier. But usually that amplifier can manage to play it. And a lot of persons will say, man, I'm playing it all the time. I'm not having any issues with it. I don't see what is the problem. But you're basically taxing the amplifier to the extent. Now, if we look at the graph, right? If we look at this, you would see that this here is the ohms that we have here. So we are at 5, let's say 5.5 ohms as we have here, that's reflecting here. So we're seeing it here as well, right? But when we look at the graph properly, you would notice that here you have a resonance peak in this area, right? Now let's assume that you were to play 100 hertz and it look at how the peak is high. So what you would find is that you will be playing at 100 hertz at 100 ohms, right? Which this wouldn't necessarily damage the amplifier, but you will not get any sort of power here. Because it's 100 ohms, you'll barely get a few watts, if you're lucky, right? But on the other hand, if you were to play in this area here, for example, if you were to play in this area at high power, you may have issues if you're playing 8 ohm speaker. So that is why it's good to do your sweep, and you could see that if this speaker is 5.5 for example, and we look here, we can see this speaker will play reasonably well at 500. Looking as well on at the resonance peak, you would notice at 100 hertz you have 100 ohms. Now in this region here, if you were to play, your amplifier wouldn't be giving you any type of power. You're lucky if you get a few watts. Now the reason that why this is important is not only because of the RE you want to see, right? It shows a lot of other information. So on this graph you can see that it would be good to have to start your your high pass at 500. And you go all the way, you can get your low pass cut off at 2K, right? Because if you look where 2K is, you're still going to be about 6 point something ohms. So that is still reasonably well. But let's say, for example, you were to go lower, you would actually be till here, 5 point something. And if you're playing at high power, your amplifier will be heavily stressed. You might fail. The amplifier might fail catastrophically. So this is why a lot of people would say, man, I'm playing 8 ohm speaker with a 1 ohm amplifier, probably because you're playing in this region. You ever notice some people would play a song and they say, man, every time I play the song, the amp tripping, the Garmin Protect, you gotta reboot the amp because that song probably goes a bit low in this region, right? So this is very important. The other thing that helps a lot of people is something called box rise. So even though you're seeing the ohms is 5.5, a lot of persons, this is free here. When they install it into a box, the box helps them actually. and the ohms would actually rise a bit higher. But that doesn't mean to say you should be doing that. Your amplifier is actually very, very stressed. It's very, very stressed. So guys, please do the right things. I recommend you use 6 8-ohm speakers, nominal 8-ohm speakers with a 1-ohm amplifier. Right? Take care. Do the right thing.